Thank you for being here. For those of you just jumping on, we are doing another episode of All Things Shea Society. We're going to talk about a few different things today. I have my lovely guest, my friend, Marcela Freeman, joining us today. So we're just excited to be here. We have super busy schedules. Marcela got here literally like
5 minutes ago.
5 minutes ago. We set the timer, countdown, let's go. But you know, we are both really busy lives, but we know that it's important for us to make time for this. We just want to encourage you today. We just want to remind you, you know, what is important, what we should be prioritizing, encourage you in your faith on your journey. So thank you for being here. Make sure to share this with your friends, invite or tag friends that you know will benefit from this community, our community, as you have seen. Yes, hi Xiomara. Yeah, and please comment and engage. My husband is going to be shouting out the comments that you're going to be typing in the thread. So yeah, feel free to. What happened?
The camera's going to die. But continue.
Okay.
So real quick. So if it shuts down.
Okay. Do you want to just try right now so we don't get going and okay. No. All right, little hiccup there with our tech guy. We're gonna have to find someone new because he's already messing up. No, but anyway, yeah, we just want to go over a few things, share what's going on in the community. As we all know, our community is growing. There's so many new women that are being a part of the Bible studies, our socials, and we just have so many great things going on. So we like to jump on here and just encourage you, talk about things that we have going on in different ways for you to get plugged in. So Marcela, how are you?
I'm doing good, and I can't believe it's already almost like November.
I know.
And this year has just been flying by. It's been a busy year, as you said, with She Is, with mommyhood, and with business, and with all the things. So, yes.
Well, and you know, I always commend you girls, especially the ones with little babies, because it really is challenging with little ones, and then just how demanding we have been this year of time and you know, using you for behind the scenes stuff and just things that like really nothing's ever scheduled. Like it's not like Marcela works for us from this time to this time. It's like Marcela does whatever, whenever I need her to do it. So to
at
be
10
able,
p.m. when the kids are asleep.
Yeah. And so just to be flexible in that, and it's really great. And we're back. Okay, yeah. Hopefully you're still there. But
there. Okay,
I think are we back? Yes, we are back. Okay. All right. Hey, we're showing y'all how to overcome obstacles, okay?
That's right.
Just a quick pivot, went from the physical camera, to now using the Salo's, what is it called? What are these things? MacBook. I'm used to my tablet. So anyway, all right. Thanks for sticking with us. We are going to get through this, right?
Yes.
Are we done with
we're good.
Challenges?
You look cute.
All right. We look cute? Okay, good. All right, so today we're going to talk about a few different things, but the first thing that I want to do and mention sponsor shout outs. So for those of you that know, we're really big on fundraising. We're really big on asking for people to partner with us that believe in what we're doing, that want to get behind what we're doing. And I always share this, that, it's been a challenge for me to have to ask for help. But my favorite part of asking for help is seeing God come through people just being obedient, because ultimately they're saying yes to God, right? Mm-hmm. Not to me. And so if they believe in what we're doing, if they believe in the mission, if they see that what we're doing is fruitful, I mean, naturally, I think anyone would want to get behind that. And I know for me, I support a few different nonprofits and a few different causes that I get behind, because I'm like, that's amazing that there is someone that is focusing on that and doing that, right? And so in one of the things that I shared with you, that, Sarah had shared our information on LinkedIn, which I'm not really on. And she's been telling me, like, you need to get on LinkedIn. And someone just reached out to us and was like, I want to sponsor. And I was like, what?
It's just one simple share.
Yeah, it's just one simple share. Someone felt led to sign up as a sponsor. That's Jacqueline Hernandez. And we have are we able to share the slide?
This one? That one?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
So we have Jacqueline Hernandez, and she just, obedience. I feel like that's been the reoccurring theme word for so many women this year is obedience. It's being obedient to God, and that's what Jacqueline did. She saw it, didn't know anything about us, but she did kind of research a little bit, saw our landing page, read a little bit about us, and she said, you know what, I just felt led to share. So Jacqueline, we just want to thank you for being obedient. We want to thank you for your generosity. We want to thank you for pouring into our mission.
Is it this one?
Sowing into our vision, believing in us, getting behind us, because really it's women like you who inspire us to keep moving forward, keep pressing forward. We get support in many ways, prayers, financially, team, Marcela tithes her time. And so really we just see God's hand in everything that we get to do. And so we're just grateful for women like Jacqueline. If you want to learn more about Jacqueline, her information's there. Make sure you give her a follow. Make sure you even take some time and say, hey, thank you for sewing into She Is Society, because I'm a part of it. And they've been very, a great resource for us. And then Stephanie is actually one of your friends, right? You want to talk about Stephanie a little bit?
She's actually an interior designer. And she was a member at Burn It in 30. Yeah. And she also saw the post about the retreat and then noticed that there was an option for sponsorships. And she is not able to attend the retreat because she had something else going on that weekend. And she felt led to sponsor.
Yeah. That's awesome, though. So it's just like this community of women and, just women just taking action.
Yeah.
Right?
She's been to
the conference. Yes. So Stephanie, make sure you give her a follow. The thing came off the graphic.
Oh, what one?
Yeah.
It was on the bottom of that same graphic. Yeah.
So
sorry.
So Stephanie's there. Make sure you give her a follow on Instagram. And just thank you, ladies. Thank you for what you're doing in the community, and for partnering with us. And
we are still accepting more sponsors,
yes.
Right? So if you feel led to sponsor us well for a retreat, which is coming up pretty soon, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah. There are definitely opportunities to sponsor in a few different ways. We have. We're going to be looking for new sponsors going into the new year, where we get to partner and we put your logo on our website. If you go to our website, you see the sponsors that we currently have. And so, so many different ways for us to partner. We want to share what you're doing in the community as you sow into our community. And so it's just a win-win for everybody. So, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the retreat. So if you haven't signed up for the retreat, that's coming up November 5th. We have a one-day event. It's an overnight, but we sold out of our overnight tickets in 24 hours. So, but we still have our one-day ticket where you are able to come for the day, spend the day with us in community. It's just going to be a time it's similar to our conference. What you experience in these smaller groups, like in our Bible studies and the socials and the conference, this is an all-day event focused on us sharpening one another, learning biblical principles. How do we live this out?
And so it's just we're gonna have worship, we're gonna have food, we're gonna have this beautiful venue in Fredericksburg, Texas, that we just want you to come out, be plugged into community, experience the beautiful nature of this venue that we get to experience the nature part, campfire, all the stuff that women love, right? That's what we incorporate, is all the things that we love and that we enjoy, s'mores and all the things, right?
Yeah, and if you were a part of the retreat it's been
the last
4
one was,
years.
I think 2020, 2019.
2019 was the last one we did, and then 3 years before that, right?
Yeah.
But if you were a part of that, it will be pretty much very similar. And even if you're not able to spend at night, it will go all day. So you can get there in the morning, be there all day. And then one thing I would suggest is that you can find a hotel nearby, and then you can still come the next day, correct? So
Yes.
Even though we don't have any more overnight stay option, you can still, come for the whole day.
Yeah. So just make a weekend of it, make a day of it. But it's going to be an incredible time. We've always had, we brought the retreats back because many of the women in our community were like, when are y'all having the retreats? And we know it's a little different, but man, times are different. We're living, how many of y'all know we're living in different times, right? And so it was really hard to find a venue right now. Airbnb has blown up, but they've also gotten more restricted with what they allow in their homes. And, if you're allowed to have an event or more than a certain amount of women. So it was really a challenge, but we figured out a way to make it work. It's a little different. We almost didn't. Yeah, we're down to the final count. We're like, is it going to happen? Is it not? And so God made a way. And so we just want you to be a part of what God is doing within our community and wants to do in your life as well through this community. And then the other thing that we have going on is the Zumbathon, and you can find more information on that on our landing page. I don't think that I shared the graphic with Salo, but Davida La Hood is going to be leading us. If you've ever taken her Zumba classes, they're super fun. And it's just going to be a great way for us to be in community, to do something fun together. If you love to dance, Davi has such a fun playlist. And she's a great teacher, great instructor. Every time I do her classes, I just have such a fun time. And look at Salo coming through. I might just keep him after all with the Zumbathon graphic right here.
Hold on.
3, 2, and 1. Yeah, so November 11th, you can bring the fam. This is another way. Hey, your husband's like, what is this She Society? What are you doing? And I don't know that he'd want to meet the
Couples that
community
sweat
through
together,
a Zumba event. Salo says couples that sweat together, stay together. Salo, do you want to do some Zumba? Are you going to be doing some of it? No? Okay. But yeah, just another great way for us to get together. Yeah, so come on out. It's a donation of any amount. You can find the link to sign up. I just sent a newsletter out. Let me know in the comments if you got my newsletter. If not, let me know. I'm going to read it after I'm done with this live stream. If you signed up for our newsletters or you're not getting them and you come to our events, check your spam folder because we could very well just be in your spam. Just that's how I've been trying to get you or keep y'all all up to date with everything that we have going on, because there is a lot going on, so much this year. It's been a lot, right?
Yes.
And so, okay, so let's go ahead and move on. I wanted to ask Marcela here, now that we've kind of gotten through our announcements and everything that we have going on. Oh, really quick, also is our Bible studies, right? Marcela's been a host for the Bible study. And we have had, different hosts throughout the city, which we weren't really expecting the response that we got, but it just speaks to the hunger that women have in this city to grow in their faith, to get plugged in, to be a part of a community of like-minded women that are also wanting to grow in the Word. And the response that we got this time was just wow. We have 9 different hosts. We have over 100 women signed up, and it's just grown because even after we started, women are hearing about it, and now they're inviting their friends. And so we've just opened up our homes to these women, and the things that we're hearing out of these studies has just been incredible. Do you want to share, what has been, because I know it's also a challenge for you to even host because of your schedule, but saying yes to hosting, and then what that has brought for you in this time?
I think anytime I say yes to hosting a Bible study, it challenges me to be in the Word more and to study, right? Because then you have to do the study for others and then kind of communicate with them what you've learned and what you're reading and everything. But I think overall, one thing that most people or most of these ladies have been sharing is that it was so needed. And I feel the same way because I don't think we've done a study this year. I'm just trying to think.
Well,
I don't think
we
I've actually
did, but I was actually, remember I had one at
Burnett in the evening,
That's right.
and then we
But I
had one
wasn't
at
in person. Yeah,
and then we had one at Summit
you're right.
at Rev.
Yeah, I feel like this
hold
year it's like, but yeah,
a
I
blur
just
for you.
with the baby and everything, I feel like this whole year has been, and this is finally the season where I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
starting to get things together,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But most of the ladies that have shared have said that they needed this for whatever season they're going through right now.
Yep, and that's what I'm hearing a lot of too, is that it was just so needed, and yeah, we're just grateful to be able to open up these spaces for women to just grow. And so we'll talk a little bit more about our Bible studies in just a minute. We have a few pictures to share with y'all, but we actually one of the things that I mentioned in the newsletter that we're going to be talking.
I don't think it's up.
Not yet.
No, okay, I'm all getting confused. There's so many things going on right in front of me. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about was what has been the biggest lesson for you this year?
For me?
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things this year has been trust and just trusting God in anything that I have been going through. And it just goes back to feeling at peace in the middle of the storm. And I've shared this before, and I always go back to the story about you because I feel like she is, and then you have been a big part of my journey, because it's almost like when you have friends that are like more mature than you are in your spiritual walk, it's almost like you always have someone to like almost mentor you, right? So I remember, how long ago was this?
2017.
2017, that's right. When you were going through some, it wasn't necessarily, it was a hard season, but you didn't seem like you were going through a hard season. And I remember asking you, like, what are you gonna do? Like, you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. And you're like, I don't know, it's fine. You were just like,
No big deal.
no big deal. Like, you know, God will provide and it will be okay. And it's something that's always in the back of my mind when I go through stuff, is knowing that there can be peace in the middle of anything. So I think that's been one of the biggest lessons, is to not try to fall in my own strength, because then I start feeling the anxiety, or I start feeling the fear or the doubt. And when I find that is when I know I'm not spending enough time with God, and not feeling in that, you know, connection with Him to know that I have the faith and I have the, or I'm just putting it in His hands.
Yeah.
If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And I think that's really something that you don't really know how to, because I feel like God, or I don't know that He would like test us, but we go through things in life where it does feel like a test. It's like, you know, do I truly trust? And if I trust, then how does that look outwardly and emotionally? And I think a lot of times we want to believe what we read in the scriptures, but we're still not feeling like what the scriptures say that is the truth. It's like, but I don't feel that truth. And like, are you there? And are you, you know, you tend to worry and fear. So it's like you don't really grow in trusting God until you've gone through a few different storms, and you're like, okay, God's like, are you going to trust me or not? Like, are you going to give this over to me and really trust me with the outcome? And not only trust, but having peace, right, in the middle of it.
But I think, and I was actually listening to a podcast, I think it was this morning or yesterday, about how sometimes we do get tested, and even Jesus was tested, you know, right after or right before He got, you know, resurrected, like went through that. He went through the 40 days, right? And He was tested, and He was, you know, and it was through tempted and all the things, and He was
Yeah.
Just putting all his faith and trust in God.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget, like, even him who was sinless and he was perfect, and he was still going through storms, and he had to go through times where he had to, go
Persevere,
through that. Persevere through that. And even another thing that's been coming to mind a lot is the Red Sea, and how God parted the Red Sea, and he didn't remove it. He made a way so you can get through it. And that's been really in my mind lately, as far as going through hard seasons. It's like, it doesn't mean that the hardship is not going to be there. It just means that with God, I can get through it. So I think that's just been one of the biggest lessons, is just that time with God, to be able to hear him, to be able to have that, clearer mind to know what to do and not fall back into my own
absolutely. And
fear.
that's why we are so passionate about what we do, because it's like, hey, the storm is coming, but can you withstand the storm, right? Like, it's gonna come. It's inevitable that there's gonna be a hardship, there's gonna be a trial, a test. And what's gonna happen when you encounter that test, or when you're in the middle of the storm, right? Like, one of two things could happen. You can fear, you can worry, you could really just sit in the middle of that storm and just be filled with faith and assurance that God is going to part the Red Sea, that he's going to make a way for you. And that's just, you can't do that if you're not, sharpening yourself, if you're not being refined in and through the word, if you're not getting alongside other believers that can challenge you or encourage you. Like, why are you worried? Like, look at what God did for you then. Like, don't you think he'll do it again? And just, all of those things are so important to our walk, and to getting to the place where now, you don't, I mean, it's always great to have the accountability and the encouragement, but to where you get to the place where you're so rooted that you're like, I know what I believe. I know that God's going to make a way. And you're just so faith-filled in the middle of whatever it is that you're going through. And that even in the middle of whatever it is that you're going through, that you can still be encouragement to somebody else, right? Because it was like, even in that, I didn't realize that it would have such an impact on you the way that it did. It's just me being, like, trusting God. And also, so many years leading up to that moment, I had gone through so many things that it really just built my faith for such a time as that it was like, I have no other option than to trust God, But I think for me, the biggest lesson for me this year has really just been being obedient to God, being obedient to what he puts on my heart, and just seeing it through. A lot of times what he asks me to do doesn't make sense, and it makes me very uncomfortable, and it challenges me. And but I've just learned over the years that saying yes to God has been so rewarding, because it's like you're doing things and you're doing it afraid. You're doing things and you're doing it, just trusting that God is gonna, like, really carry you through. And I just think that all of this comes with, years of sitting with God, of getting in his word, of being with community. It's not just something that I feel like, I can obey, like, instantly, like, because before it took me a long time, and I wrestled with God, and I had, I had a delayed obedience where I was like, I'll do it, but let me wait till, like, maybe next year I'll get rid of that, or, and so now I just feel like I'm in a place where if God says something, I just do it right away, and figure out a way to get it done. And even if I don't have the whole picture, I just start, and then God starts to provide pieces of the picture, and he starts to put the pieces in their place and where they belong, and sending the people and all these things. So it's just been like the trust, the obeying, the just believing. I think that's such a big thing too, is like a lot of the things we just don't believe for ourselves. It's like, that's for somebody else. That's not for me. And it's like, no, like, God wants to do incredible things in and through your life so that he can reveal himself in and through you for others to see that he is the one who did it. And so, I mean, so many great lessons this year. Every year there's just always something to learn and to take away from, if you're really spending time with God and asking him, like, what do you want to show me this year? And everyone has like a word or a theme for the year, but for me, it really has been, the success for me is being obedient to God. That's it. Like, because it's whatever he says, I say yes, and the result of that is refreshing to my soul. It's just like so rewarding in supernatural ways, and ways that you just don't even expect. But Salo is Vanessa says, this verse comes to mind. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Yeah, and I love that. Hi, Vanessa. Thank you for chiming in. I love, that's one of my favorite verses.
Did you go to the retreat?
I'm not sure.
That's good.
Salo wants to know if you're going to the retreat. Text
That's
him.
right.
Text him on the side, girl. Let him know. But yeah, because it's true. It's like we don't. You know, whenever you're like under pressure and you're being tested and it doesn't feel good. And I mean, our natural like flesh and instinct is to worry, to fret, to fear.
And sometimes to complain.
Yeah, and to complain
and stay
even.
there
Yes.
as
Yeah.
a victim.
Absolutely.
And I think that happens a lot because we fall back into our own emotions and feelings instead of going to God for strength and guidance.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to go to friends too.
Yeah,
or,
for
you know,
sure.
Friends
Trusted
that will,
source. Yeah.
Yeah, trusted sources that will give us the right advice. And I think that's one of the biggest things this year is that even though it was and it has been challenging to manage all the things and still be able to be a part of the team and attend the meetings and all the things, I feel like it's also has kept me accountable to you know, to be able to not just serve but be there and also within our own trainings and our own meetings, like we're also growing. So I think when it comes to trials, when you are isolated, it just makes it worse, right? So it's very important that you find your community, your people, your source of encouragement that is going to help you through those times, because sometimes it's not easy to get out of it on your own.
Yeah.
You know, obviously we have God, but when you have others to help you, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And that's biblical too. And that was one of the things that we wanted to talk about is like our top recommendations on how to grow spiritually is like, I was talking about this earlier with our Bible study at Davida's house. And, you know, a lot of things I will, you know, have analogies that relate to fitness, right? And so our top recommendations to grow spiritually are very similar to those of how do you grow physically, right? And the number one thing that I have on here is accountability. It is having somebody, I mean, many people who succeed in growing physically or getting the body that they want to achieve is they get a coach. They get someone that knows what they're doing, someone that can encourage them, someone that knows all the bumps that are going to come, the challenges that they're going to face, to remind them and to encourage them of like, hey, you know, you can do this, or giving them the blueprint of like how to get there. And I think even just, you know, so many people kind of get stuck when it comes to their faith. And all they have to do is just reach out. I mean, even if you know nobody, but maybe you follow someone on Instagram that is faith-filled, or that, you know, an influencer, just reaching out to somebody and asking for help. I know that's a big step, especially for us to be vulnerable and ask for accountability or ask to be a part of. We've had women reaching out like, how do I be a part of this Bible study? They've never been to anything we've been to, and they're just being brave, and because there's that hunger there, and they're just stepping into rooms where they don't know anybody, but they're like, I want to grow in my faith. So doing bold and daring things like that, to find that accountability, seek accountability, and stay with that. Don't run from the accountability, because your accountability is sometimes going to tell you things that you don't want to hear. Yep. Your accountability is going to tell you the truth and say, put that you're not losing weight because you're eating those donuts. I saw you're eating the donuts. Same thing with reading your Bible, or, you know, growing in your faith. Like, girl, I saw where you were at last night. Maybe that's why you're not growing in your faith, or maybe you're a little too close to sin, and maybe that's why you feel distant from God, or, you know, maybe you're distant from God because, you know, you're thinking and you're pursuing and chasing after everything but God, you know. But staying, even pressing into that accountability when maybe they're not telling you everything that you want to hear, but you know it's what you need to hear. And yeah, just finding that trusted friend. And that's why we're, you know, wanting to grow this community, and we're finding so many other women that we see leaders in them. We see them that, you know, they're just so good at encouraging other women to do what is important and what matters, and that's to be in the Word, that's to, you know, pray, you know, just to continue to persevere and encourage other women that are walking through hard stuff. And so, like, we really need each other. We need community. We need someone who is going to speak light into us and be light in our lives, because we're living in times where it's not always light and bright. And so we are carriers of such a great message and such a great hope. And it's our responsibility to be able to remind women of their purpose and why they exist, and that we don't have to live in darkness, right? That's something that we're learning in 1 John in our reading. So the other thing that recommendation on how to grow spiritually is to take action. Take action. Another thing I was sharing with our Bible study group is like, we don't watch someone work out and then expect to get fit, right? We're not going to get fit by watching someone else work out. We're not going to grow spiritually if we're just watching. It's great to watch messages online. It's great to have sermons. It's great to go to church and hear other people's experiences or other people's breakdown of the scriptures. But there's no better way to learn and to grow spiritually than to get close to God, get in his word so that he can speak to you personally and intimately, because nobody knows us better than God himself, the creator, the one who made us. And so taking action, because it's just so important, it's so important to put the action behind what you're wanting to achieve.
I was driving the other day, and I was taking my daughter to school, and she's like, "Look, mommy, all the birdies," and they were on the ground eating, right, or trying to find food, and that made me think, how even the Bible says that God feeds the birds, like. They don't worry about having something to eat. They always do, right? So God always provides. But they still have to get down and find the food and take it back to their babies, right? Or their birdies. And sometimes we don't think about that. We think that it's just going to happen. Right. And it's going to come to us because God's going to take care of it. But we still have to do our part. We still have to take action. We still have to be in the Word. We still have to spend time, just with God and spend time, go to church if we're serving, like is all these little things that although it doesn't have to be perfect, and sometimes I think that's what stopped a lot of people, is because they want everything to be perfect. But one thing I always say is that some action or a little action is better than no action. So even if it's just knowing that you're doing a little something to get better, to make progress in your spiritual walk or whatever it is that you're working on, you know that you're making some progress and you're not staying the same.
Right.
So I always say this, I'm a coach and I'm always trying to encourage. But one of the things is that I say, don't complain about what you have or where you're at if you're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
Because we always, like to complain, like, why am I like here and this? But then you're not even trying to do your part.
Yeah. That's so good. I like that little analogy of the birds.
Vanessa shared another verse.
We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed. Whatever the trial, however hard it may seem, we're not destroyed. I love that. And Vanessa can speak into this, y'all, because she has faced some really big trials. And so thank you for sharing that verse, 2 Corinthians 4:8. That was actually our theme for one of the retreats. Remember, I think it was like our 4th year retreat. It was like, we're not crushed. Remember with the little shirts?
Yes.
And then the last one that we wanted to share, the top recommendation on how to grow spiritually, is make the time. So one of the things that Davida did today during Bible study is she started with 20 minutes of just taking time to go out, like at her house. She has this really nice back patio porch and beautiful scenic views, and she just had them spread out and just go and like be in their thoughts with God. Like either take your Bible or just be intentional about hearing the voice of God. And as Davi and I are waiting and we're looking at the timer, it felt like forever. 20 minutes felt like forever. And I thought, like, so much can happen in 20 minutes and you really being intentional. And some of the girls said that, I came in with so much anxiety, and once I got here, I just felt so much better. And, it just speaks to how powerful it is when we actually take control of, because we have the time. God has gifted us with time. As long as there's air in our lungs and we're breathing and we're talking, we have the time. But it's what would our lives look like if we allocated 20 minutes a day to being intentional, to, because it takes action, yes, and we have to tell our thoughts where to go, because our minds will be pulled in every other direction but to God. And in fact, when you pursue God, even when you're in the middle of it, your mind will still go off to the side. So it's like taking the time, being intentional, Think about what you're thinking about. Fight to put and keep your thoughts on God. One of the things that I shared was about like when I'm at church and I'm starting to think negatively, I'm like, oh, I don't like this song, or it's like God's like, you're taking your focus off what's important. Like, do you think I have to move through a song? Like, I don't need a song to move my spirit with your spirit, but now you're being negative and you're thinking about everything but me. And you know, it's just like, oh, it's so true. Like even when you're in a good place, I'm at church and I'm still here thinking, it's like, it's never about me. It's about what God wants to speak to me. But if we don't make room in our hearts and we go in just complaining, thinking negatively, and allowing our thoughts to just go wherever they want, then we're not taking our thoughts captive to the obedience of Christ, right? And allowing Christ to speak into us in that moment. So accountability, taking action, making the time. Is there anything you want to speak? Because I know for you, time is really a hard thing.
I think one of the challenging things this year has been sleep. Mm-hmm. And I'm a person that loves routine. Mm-hmm. Like, I like to wake up at the same time, go to bed at the same time, but that's not in my control at the mm-hmm. moment. First with a newborn and baby, and then now, you know, that I'm coaching at 5 a.m. and it's just like, I don't have a solid, like, routine that's consistent.
Yeah. And you are queen of routines.
Yes, I do, and I just thrive with routine. And one of the things that is challenging for me is when I get off my routine, it's easy for me to like get off for a week. Mm-hmm. And I try my best to just get back on. So one of the big things is obviously my mornings. I like to start it with, you know, I read my Bible, I journal, and when I get up so early at 3:30, it's hard for me to do that. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just making a time at the end of the day when that's the case, instead of saying, oh, well, I didn't do it when I wanted to do it, but still make it more of a commitment. Yes. But yes, I think it's just having the discipline to make it part of your day, right? No matter how the day goes, and not be so caught up and it has to be at this time. If not, it's not going to happen. Yeah. So, and that's another thing, is that sometimes, even if it's a 5-minute prayer in the middle of the day, you know, but knowing that you still have that daily connection. And communication with God.
Yeah, I love that. The other thing that I wanted us to share, I know these habits may look different for both of us, but what is the one habit that changes everything for you? What is the one thing that you implement in your lifestyle that really makes a huge difference for you?
Well, I will say journaling. Mm-hmm. And it's like, for me, that's kind of where everything starts or ends, like as far as my day. Mm-hmm. So I know when I do that, I'm being very intentional with my thoughts, with my day, with my time. And from there, it goes, did I make time for my workout? Did I make time for God? What did I eat? Like, what was I thinking? How was I feeling today? Yeah. And it's just, I feel like journaling just brings so much awareness to where you're at. Yeah. So that's one of the biggest things
That's new. I didn't know you journaled.
Well, I started in 2021. I did it that whole year, and it was the best year, like, as far as me, how I felt and me connected to God. Yeah. And then 2022 with pregnancy, I kind of stopped, and then like life. Yeah. And then this year I started again, and I just feel the difference. And it's a habit, like, because as I said, like, if I don't do it one day, it becomes 2 and then 3, and then I have my new rule that I can't go past 3 days. And I just have to get back on it.
Yeah, where you just feel it. Yeah. No, that's awesome. I love journaling. I'm not a big journaler. Is that a word?
I never was. But
I know, that's cool, though.
Yeah, I feel like I needed to have something where I write it down. It's not on my phone.
No, I know it works for a lot of people. Journaling is a really great tool. For me, it's been my It's really been life-changing for me. I've shared this in the past, but I still do it. I've done it, started since the beginning of the year. was with one is making my bed. That really made a huge difference, believe it or not. Like for me, I felt like once I started making my bed every morning, it like transcended into like being committed to the
like
things
the
I
first
set out
win.
to do. Yeah, it's the first win, and then it just kind of sets the tone for the day. But it's my checklist. It's my writing out, you know, at the end of every week, like on Sunday, I'll write out like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Like this is what I need to complete on Monday. This is what I need to do on Tuesday. And really, even I put, you know, spending time in the Word. So if it's on here, it's gonna get done. And there's like this accomplishment that I feel whenever I complete a task because you know, without really having vision or knowing where I'm going, I'm kind of just roaming around aimlessly and not really hitting many targets. But when it's, you know, right in front of me and it's in order of priority of day and I'm able to get through that, I just accomplish so much more. I'm a lot more productive. And I feel better because I'm actually doing the things that I set out to do. And this is really good for me, especially being a stay-at-home mom, you know, and not really having structure. So this is the way I had to create structure for me. You know, I'm not a very structured person, but this has definitely improved
you have
my
been
structure.
this year.
I have been.
I'm actually very
It's
proud
fine.
of you.
Thank you. High five.
Like this whole year is like, well, like the details and just planning and even having, you know, the outlines and
the
you've been
agendas.
consistent with sending emails, like all those little things that she was never consistent with, and now
It
she's
was
like
so
actually
hard.
yeah.
Yeah, it's this task list. I'm like, I can't not get through the day. Even if I have to move it to like to the next day, you know, it's still, I know it needs to happen that week. But yeah, that's just been such a big help. And also, y'all know this, is like getting off of social media because that for me was just so distracting and pulled like my attention and my focus away. So that's freed up so much time for me. But yeah, we just wanted to get on here and encourage y'all and remind y'all, like, one, thank you for being here and for being a part of this community. Continue to get plugged in, invite your friends. The Bible studies, we have one more week left. And let's show a few pictures from our Bible study groups. We have a few pictures here of our ladies that are gathering
here throughout the city, different days of the week, whatever is convenient for them, and they are just getting together. They're opening the Word. They are dissecting the Word together. They're speaking on it. They're sharing their thoughts, their hearts, and yeah, these are some of the different hosts. We have Marcela, even out of Burnett and 30. Shelby, we have Davida, we have Rachel, we have Miracle, Wendy, Veronica. You know, they've all just opened their homes, and
it's just amazing to see all of these women in these different homes. Like I said, the things that we're hearing, just one of the things that I shared with our group this morning is like, it is hard to make the time to, you know, carve that time out of your week to drive to a Bible study and, you know, take that time out of your schedule. And we resist it so much, but then when we're there, it's like amazing. You know, it's like, why am I not doing this more often? And so we just want to encourage you. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do after these next 4 weeks, if the girls will take a break for a week or if they will just continue. I'm really just kind of leaving it up to the host, because if you feel led, you know, to continue it and you want to continue to make space for women to come, if you want to be held accountable, I think that's one of the great things, like you said, is like the women hosting are being developed and growing, the women attending are being developed and growing. Like it's a win-win for everybody. So, you know, I'm just kind of leaving it up to y'all. If y'all want to see these Bible studies continue, let your hosts know, and love on them. Thank them for opening this space, for them to you know, keep you accountable to being in the Word. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that we wanted to get through today. Marcela, is there anything else that you want to share with our community?
No, just stay plugged in. I think, especially if you know that you need to have that community and that accountability. I think that's the biggest part, and just going back to those things, you know, have the accountability. If you don't have it, we can help, right? We have the community, we have the events, we have retreat, we have Bible studies, we have a lot planned for next year. We do have the app. So that's another thing, is that we have an app where you can come in, share, ask for prayers. And I know we're still planning to add a lot more other things to it. So there is plenty of resources that we have
get plugged in,
to get plugged in. And then just don't forget to take action, do your part, and
Yeah.
know that, that we have to just take those steps one day at a time.
Absolutely. I love that. So, all right, ladies. Well, we just want to thank y'all for joining us. Y'all have a great evening, and we love y'all. Until next time. Bye.